In the past 2.5 years, the Adani Group has made about 30 acquisitions, shelling out over $20 billion. They have largely been a smooth affair. In the same period, Chairman Gautam Adani's net worth multiplied as the shares of his 7 listed group companies surged. Today, he is worth $141 billion and trails only Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos in the global rich list. Some of the group's big acquisitions in the last decade or so have been Abbott Point Coal Terminal in Australia in 2011, Dhamra Port in 2014, Mumbai Power Utility in 2017, GVK Airport Developers in 2020, Holcim's India Assets and DB Power in 2022, among others. Adani's biggest acquisition yet, Holcim's India Assets, Ambuja Cement and ACC, was announced on May 15th. The group's open offer was launched on August 26th. But Adani is facing resistance to its relatively smaller takeover bid for NDTV. In 2009, NDTV promoter company RRPR Holdings, owned by its founders Radhika and Pranoy Roy, took a 400 crore rupee loan from Vishwa Pradhan Commercial or VCPL and in exchange issued warrants that give the company a 99.99% stake in RRPR on conversion into shares. RRPR holds a 29.18% stake in NDTV. On August 23rd, Adani said it had acquired VCPL and exercised the rights, which NDTV said was done without its consent. NDTV said the Roys were prohibited from dealing in India's securities market until November this year due to a 2020 SEBI decision in a case of suspected insider trading, and therefore RRPR cannot convert the warrants it issued to VCPL. Although Adani said SEBI restrictions were not applicable on RRPR, both Adani and NDTV have now sought clarifications from the regulator. Last week, the promoter entity RRPR said it would require the Income Tax Department's approval to convert warrants into equity shares to now Adani-owned VCPL as authorities attached its stake in NDTV as part of a reassessment of its taxes. Adani countered, saying the order applies only to shares of NDTV held by RRPR and in no manner restricts it from converting VCPL's warrants. It added that the Roys tried to further inordinately delay the deal.
Given that it is the entity that has to issue the shares, there is no real dealing of shares that is being done by either of the two promoters. So there should be no problem there. The second one is also a similar defense that is being taken by NDTV, which is that the two promoters are prohibited from selling shares under Section 281 because there must be certain income tax proceedings that are pending. But once again, the point here is that neither of the two of them are really personally involved in the sale of shares, right? So this is just being used as a tactic by NDTV to sort of slow down this process. But yes, there are certain other approvals that could also be required. For example, there would be a Ministry of Information and Broadcasting because of certain uplinking, downlinking guidelines. There's a TRI approval involved because this is clearly going to be a matter of change in control.
This can become painful for the Adanis if SEBI decides to either keep quiet and not do anything about it, or they take a view saying that in favor of them or against them, because then what it would lead to is a situation where if they have taken a view, then they are also part of any kind of litigation that will happen, because the other side will surely take this to the next appellate authority or court. If they keep quiet about it, again, it could cause delays. If now SEBI does take another position, which could be a very sensible view for them, which is to say that we don't have jurisdiction, then it might smoothen things out, because then the only thing that will stop this transaction from moving forward is a stay that the Roys will have to get from a competent court, which doesn't get overturned immediately by the Adanis.
Ravikumar says the only way Roys can fend off the takeover attempt is to find a white knight, but that it is a tough task. Meanwhile, Adani's open offer for an additional 26% stake in NDTV is likely to open on October 17th. The response, however, could be tepid, since NDTV shares are trading at a 75% premium to the open offer price. While it is uncertain if SEBI and Income Tax Department will come back with a quick response, the Roys could have a surprise to throw. They can bring up a clause from the original loan agreement which states that VCPL and its affiliates cannot purchase shares of NDTV, which will increase their holding to more than 26% in the company without the consent of the other parties. One could argue that in the current transaction, Adani Group's acquisition of NDTV's stake is routed indirectly and would not violate the clause. It is not VCPL that is directly acquiring NDTV shares. The shares are still held by RRPR, but the conversion of warrants would give VCPL control of RRPR. Pioneer Legal's Pritaja says the clause would have to be read harmoniously with the rest of the provisions in the loan agreement. Given how the takeover bid is structured, legal experts believe that Adani would have both anticipated and prepared for this kind of pushback from the NDTV founders. But it could all come down to the interpretation of the agreement, making the acquisition process painful for the Adani Group.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.